how can we single out our most vital democratic ally in Africa, whose position in the Russian-Ukraine conflict is no different than some of our allies in India, in Saudi Arabia, and in China?
I don't think it's about singling out. I think it's about acknowledging the fact that South Africa is enjoined by its constitution to represent certain values around sovereignty, human rights, respect for the rule of law, which the aggression that has been perpetuated in Ukraine violates. So in essence, what we are saying here is, especially as we consider the relationship between the United States and South Africa, is basically to amplify and put at the forefront these shared and common values. These shared and common values are around inclusive governance, around democracy, around the rule of law, and ensuring that the equal sovereignty of both countries are respected. And I think the plea of the majority of South Africans is simply that. It is not asking the United States to act in a patriarchal manner in pointing fingers, but it is simply saying to your South African counterparts, uphold the values that you are enjoined to respect and that you believe in.
It seems that the young country, an infant country, if you will, just 30 years of age, is going through growing pains like any other country. So, like, why is this such a singular issue on attacking South Africa's respectful emergence onto the world stage?
It is not about attacking South Africa. As I indicated before, it's about holding us to uphold our constitutional values. The ANC is the party of Nelson Mandela. And Nelson Mandela himself would not have been non-aligned in his condemnation of a violation of human rights and democracy. So it is incumbent that, yes, we enhance our trade relations. That's very important, and I agree with this. But also at the same time, I think the United States—
How has South Africa violated human rights?
It is not violating human rights. I'm talking about the relationship between South Africa and the US within the context of the Ukraine. That's what I'm talking about. However, I wanted to say that one of the things that we must also consider is calling out the hypocrisy as viewed by us in South Africa of some of the foreign policy positions of the United States. On the one hand, you want to determine who we can trade with and who we can't trade with, but at the same time, the United States trades with the very same people, for example, like China, which is one of the largest investors into the United States economy.
How would you explain why the ANC-led government is having the current positioning it is?
The historic relationship that the ANC had with Russia and the Soviet Union during the apartheid struggle. And secondly, I think we all have to be candid here. There have been officials within the ANC power structure and in these circles surrounding the ANC power structure that have commercial interests with Russia. Whether we saw that in the nuclear relationship during the Zuma career and the Zuma era, but we've also noted that the largest benefactor to the ANC is a Russian oligarch. So there are commercial interests that are driving this issue, and I think they're also well known within South Africa.
The ANC, the governing party in South Africa, has typically had close ties with the former Soviet Union. These have been extended to Russia. However, this closeness to the Soviet Union must not be interpreted as a generalized view of the population in South Africa.
It's so important to have perspective and not to overreact. In opinion pieces, in analyses, it is very clear that South African society pushes back against the ANC's gravitation towards any nation that is deemed to be autocratic. That happens on the ground, and I think that's the point I was making earlier, that when you imagine South Africa, don't just think ANC, think about plurality, think about the rest of the citizens and other pillars of the state, that there, different opinions and different contestation can be found. The ANC, even though it is the party in government, I would say that they don't always reflect what South Africans feel. And I think that the United States can find partners within South African society. The perception is that the United States does not mind working with anti-democratic regimes if it suits its foreign policy interests. And that explains also why countries like South Africa would also want the autonomy to have relations with whoever they want to have a relationship with, because the United States does the same when it wants to.